Getting this motorhome was not entirely a drive in the countryside. Of course, it would have been nice if I had found an offering closer to home. Opportunities are not always convenient, and a lot can happen on a 1,000-mile round-trip adventure. A prediction of bad weather wasn't about to deter a mechanic friend and I from this endeavor. The trip up to a northern Illinois city was uneventful, sunny and humid, with the occasional dark cloud. But that was all part of the deception. We arrived late in the day, with dusk quickly approaching. With just enough light to inspect this motorhome and conclude the business deal, it was time to head back home, or as far as we could go before sleep was required. I had made the mistake of assuming my mechanic friend would be driving the motorhome, and I would be driving my truck back to Kansas. I have driven a truck and vans. I grew up in Wisconsin in all kinds of weather. But I was not prepared for what was about to come. So there I was driving this motorhome down the freeway as night fell, and trying to get used to how it handled. As it happened, to the west, I saw flashes of lightning from an approaching storm. As I was going to be heading south, I figured I would be missing it. Well, not entirely. It was bad enough that I was driving slower than the evening traffic, but the weather decided it needed to involve me. Illinois has a rather open landscape, which didn't help any. So there I was, inexperienced with such a tall vehicle, wind blowing from the west, semis blowing from the east, and all I could do was sit here trying to compensate for the pushing and shoving and hoping desperately I do not overcompensate, tip the rig, and go tumbling down the freeway. I had never felt so wide awake in my entire life. This continued for about 45 to 50 miles until we reached the first gas station. Relief. I had discussed my experience with a mechanic friend, and I had considered that, steering might be a little sloppy. Him being a retired truck driver dismissed my concerns and volunteered to take the next run. Relief. The gas tank was filled and we were off again. The flashing of lightning was still to our west, but was shifting, and there was no rain to contend with. Just this blasted wind. During the next stretch I remained concerned as I watched my motorhome drift in the lane ahead of me as with each gust. This time, though, my friend was passing slow-moving semi-trucks, showing off, ignoring warnings. I guess it was about 80 miles more down the freeway that my friend radioed me and said that he was going to be stopping for the night. We pulled into the truck stop, lined with far more sane drivers, as they appeared to have arrived well before we did. Not admitting much, though, he claimed he was getting tired fighting the wind. But food became the topic, and we went into the restaurant for a meal. It was there that the news was blasting with a tornado report, not too far from where we had just been. The temperature had dropped and the wind was still blowing from the west plains of Illinois. Since the house battery was unreliable, the generator was started in order to ensure enough power to the furnace, which was also started. Nice and warm, it was time to go to sleep. As we lay there, the wind was buffeting the motorhome. You may think it was just rocking us to sleep. Hardly. It was more like being pushed and shoved all night long. I don't think either one of us got much sleep, as each strong gust would disturb our efforts. Morning came and the sun was shining and it was warming up. Nature had finished torturing us. Food and fuel and whatever recovery we could muster became the activity. Now that the weather was cooperating, my friend decided he would take over driving back to Kansas. Sure, now that I'd be able to have little trouble driving it, well, I wasn't all that disappointed, really. From then on, the trip returns to its drama-free state. I figured I must have gotten a good deal on this motorhome. After all, nothing good comes easy. Well, that's my little drama. Perhaps there'll be more as I fix up the bits and pieces of this 27-year-old motorhome. See you later.